All right, let's get into it. Hi, everyone. How's it going? All right, who we got here? Hi, Eve. Hi, Hunter Key. Hi, Ranger Likes to Fish. Hi, lovely Javier. Hi, Benji. Hi, Ezekiel. Hi, Christian. Whoop. Yeah, cool. So I got this rad swatch sheet so I can actually figure out what my markers all look like on the paper so that I don't have to keep testing them when we do the sketch card streams. So that's a big help. So, hi Asher Gabe, hi Samrat Singh, how's it going? How's everybody doing? What's news? Actually, I'll leave that one up. I don't need it right now, but I will leave it up. And I knew something was off about the lights. There we go. Hi Marmot. How's it going? What's news? Let's change the text for tonight. Alright, there's our question for tonight. Who's your favorite comics writer? Hi Arthur Morgan, hi Wonder of You. How's it going? So we're going to start writing shortly. Tonight is a writing workshop. I don't know if this is showing up correctly with the correct title right now. I've got to check. TikTok has been a bit funny with events and titles and stuff. Let's see. What's it say here? Can I see? Yes, it does. Awesome. It's got the correct title. Good, good, good. All right. So I'm just warming my room up a little bit. It's a bit chilly in here. Thanks everyone for liking the live. I'm going to go ahead and switch us over to the main screen so that we can actually get to writing.
Right, let's do this!
Yeah, not too bad. Chilly but good. Yeah, awesome. So what I try to do with the writing lives to make it a bit more interactive is yeah, try to be here to help like teach people how to write as I'm writing, you know, answer questions about the world that I'm writing and that sort of thing. On my sketch card lives, people can help me choose what characters we're drawing. Like tonight, I'll warm down with a sketch card, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish this one from Friday night's stream. But tomorrow, we'll be all caught up on unfinished sketch cards and we'll be starting a new one. So for anyone who wants me to draw a character that they like, check out yesterday's post where I show off all the sketch cards that are finished so far. And if you have the new feature where you can post photos, post a photo of your favorite character. If you can't post photos yet, just put a name there of what your favorite character is. And I'm going to check that post before tomorrow night's live and pick 2 characters to put up as a poll so that we can have you guys in the chat vote on who I'm going to draw. So, Yeah, go put it in the comments. I won't be able to remember from the chat, but yeah, I will check the comments under that video for tomorrow night and for Friday night to decide what characters go in the poll. And then whoever's here during the live will be able to vote on which character we do. Hi Northy175, thanks for the follow. I will have a look. Let me just have a quick look, see. Wednesday night is here. Oh no, you're looking for the one that's got the pictures of all the sketch cards. It's a couple of videos below that one. Let me see how many videos before that one it is. Yeah, it's on like the next row down. It's the one that's got the robot head at the start. And it says, "Who should I draw next?" on the title. Alright, just give me 1 second. I'm just got to shoot off a quick email real quick. Just 30 seconds. Got to send a picture to someone. I'm getting a new banner made for my convention stall this year. And I just have to send them the picture. And then we're going to get into writing this book. So if anyone has any questions about writing comics or just wants to talk about their favorite characters, favorite writers and stuff, let me know who your favorite comic book writer is. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, with the robot. Hi, Jack Reed. I missed a couple of names there, but hi, everyone. Welcome. Who's your favorite comic book writer, everyone that's here? Well, if you're ever looking for recommendations because you want to try some, have a scroll through my old... Hey, Yeti Explores! Have a scroll through my videos. I am about to record tomorrow a bunch of fresh recommendations because that's one of the types of content I do here on TikTok is short form video recommendations. But also check out my podcast, No Capes. It's the YouTube at No Capes show. Where I sit down with other comic book creators and we talk about a book that we've both read and we really love and talk about what makes it a good comic. Yeah, how's it going, Yeti Explores? What's news? Let me just crack this tea and then let's get a writing. For example, the Invincible comics actually have so much more story in them than the show itself. The Agent Spider scene in the comics is actually Spider-Man. But they didn't have the rights when making the show, so they had to change it to a new character. Yeah, my TikTok is the interactive platform that helps control what I do on the stream, but I broadcast it to my Twitch audience as well, so that they can see that I'm live and then jump over here and vote in the polls and, you know, interact with GIFs and all that sort of stuff. Oh yeah, that's right. I think you mentioned you were moving. Yeah, because I was a Twitch streamer for a long time before I joined TikTok. So I'm sort of doing TikTok and Twitch at the same time, but TikTok is the one that gets to actually help direct the stream. I hope everything's going well for the move. Alright, let's find the page that we're up to, which should be page 5. Yes, it is. Hi, Lane. How's it going? Hi, Dylan. How's it going? Man, I got something in my throat earlier today, and it has been annoyed all afternoon. Inhaled some pepper or something. Hi, Stella. How's it going? No dialogue in this panel. Hi, Alessandra. Hi, Mayor Humdinger. Excuse me. And just a reminder for everyone in the chat that once per stream, let me grab them and show you. Once per stream, someone can commission one of these sketch cards by dropping a baby dragon or above in the gifts, and then you can tell me what character you want me to draw. I'll draw it on the stream, and then I'll post it to you afterwards. So there's only one per stream, and they're only available during the TikTok lives. These ones that I just draw during stream are all available for purchase on my Etsy store, but the commission ones are only available on TikTok during TikTok lives. And for anyone who isn't familiar with how it works, here's the TikTok page about gifting. I'm still learning about all the different values and how it works and how you get coins and all that sort of thing. But that's the information that they provide. Excuse me. So right now I am writing a prequel. Hi, Bill Kelly. I'm writing a prequel story of my character, Snuffles the Indomitable. His first appearance is in my book Double Billing that I'm currently finishing off and getting ready to send to print. And then this will be the next Snuffles story that comes out. I'm working on it with a friend who's got a book on Kickstarter right now. I'll actually just grab a link to his Kickstarter. How's it going, Bill? Hope you're well. Hi, silly little guy. Here is a link to my friend's Kickstarter, and I'll post that on my Blue Sky as well for people to find. Hell yeah. Did you get anything fun? Hi, Hollyberry Cookie fan. I missed that name that just joined. It was a pretty long one, but welcome. Ah, I'm back. Okay, where'd my script go? All right, yes. So we are working on the prequel story for Snuffles the Indomitable, which I'm working on with Louis Godoy, and we're gonna have a great time with it. It's gonna be a bit sad, so fair warning, it is gonna be a bit sad. Hi, that one Australian. How's it going? I have absolutely no idea. I don't know anything about any code. And for anyone that wants couldn't afford to buy anything today for Free Comics Day, for New Comic Book Day, go check out comics.one and check out their free comics section. You'll even be able to read a couple of my short stories on there. Excuse me. Struggling to her feet, growling and shaking with anger. Side bloodied from the badger swipe. Maybe pulling at her feet. He is standing with. Hi, Fitzy. How's it going? Her back to the now empty bar. I have no idea. Honestly, I don't. The last time I did any kind of coding, it was HTML, and it was like 2001. Back when everyone was making their own HTML websites in high school. Oh, cool. Good work. Excuse me. Yeah, that's probably a good idea. Yes, there is a coding question Yeti explores. I've already missed it though. You'd have to jump into the TikTok chat. Sorry, I didn't see your response until just this second. Hey Tree, how's it going? We're writing comics. So, tell me who your favorite comic book writer is. And why you like their work. I love to hear why people like specific writers' work and what it is about it. Where am I? Panel 3. I mean, he did many, 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 many moons ago. There's a lot of interesting stories about Stan's history in comics. I don't know all of them, but they did a documentary about it, I believe. Or was it a book? Something came out recently about it anyway. I haven't checked it out myself yet. I'm writing the script for my my next comic in the pipeline. Snuffles the Indomitable Before the Beginning is the tentative title at the moment. So we're writing the third panel on the 5th page. On each page at the moment, hi Starlight Echoes, I've got a little summary of what I want to happen on the page. And then I'm writing each panel based on that summary. So this one is a prequel story before the comic itself starts in earnest, and before Snuffles the Indomitable is the character that we meet in the main comic. It's set back when he was just a ordinary pug. Hey, no worries. Thanks for joining. We'll be live again tomorrow night, and then back again Tuesday next week. And don't forget, if any of you want me to draw a character that you really like, jump into the comments of the video where I show off all the sketch cards. It's about 5 videos back at the moment for this week's lives, and either post a photo of the character if you've got that feature. If you don't have that feature, just put the name. Oh, no worries, Yeti. Good night. Send me a DM later. But yeah, if everyone wants me to draw the characters that they like, go to that video. Specifically, it's got the "What should I draw tonight" as the title, and this character in the thumbnail. So go to that video and put either the name of or a photo of the character that you want me to draw. And then tomorrow night, when we start the stream, I'll pick 2 characters from the comments and throw up a poll. And whoever's here in the chat can vote on the character that we draw. And then we'll do the same thing on Friday night with whatever other characters are in the comments. Hi, Crex. How's it going? Hi, Sonny Guinness. Hi, Darcy Paul Wilson McRae. All right, there we go. So, all right. I'm not sure if I want to have 2 more panels on this page. Hi, Rats. How's it going? Hi, Annabelle. Hi, Emily. How's it going? Hi, Casey123. All right, there we go. So we're almost finished this page, which is great. And then for the last like 30 minutes of the stream, we'll do a sketch card tonight. I've already drawn one, but it hasn't been colored yet, so we're just going to color it tonight. And then tomorrow night we'll start a brand new sketch card. So if folks want to suggest some characters, you can jump into the comments of either the video showing off the sketch cards, which is about 5 videos back. Hi, Menacing Torch V2. Or you can jump into the video that I'll be posting tomorrow morning asking for character suggestions. No, on Friday morning, sorry. On Friday morning asking for character suggestions. Because on Friday night we'll be doing a big sketch card, a sketch card party essentially, drawing as many as we possibly can in the time that we're live. All right. Hi, Harvey. How's it going? Who's everyone's favorite comics writer? Hi, Potato. 1 potato, 2 potato. Hi, Balkans are better. Hey, no worries. I'm just responding to chats as I see them. So if I miss anything, I'm not trying to be rude, but sometimes they move pretty quick. So I'm trying to get to everyone's chats as I can. Alright. Drop a sound effect bit in there. Drop a sound effect in there. Okay. Well, I can help with that, Potato. The main thing to do is to start small. Start with short stories. I am in the process right now of releasing a whole bunch of 10-page shorts because I started off pitching 4 to 10-page scripts for anthologies, which are hyper competitive, so not everyone can get into those. And any ones that didn't make it into the anthologies, I'm just writing them myself and releasing them to build out my portfolio while I work on some larger full-length stories. And I also happen to have this handy-dandy beginner's guide to making comics. So it's less about teaching you the actual mechanics of writing comics, but what it is a guide to all of the different steps that are involved in writing comics, and whether you can do, whether you want to do them yourself or whether you want to find collaborators to work with, how to find those collaborators, and where to find more resources to learn how to do that thing in depth. It's basically a mini glossary of all the different steps involved in making a comic and the resources to learn how to do those things that I wish I'd had when I was just starting out. And I recommend using what I'm using to write this script right now, which is the Steens and Cat Calamia standard comic script. They created a sort of standard format that they're hoping more of the industry will adopt over time. And I love it. I think it's so helpful. It makes it really easy to structure your comics. And I feel like my scripts have really improved in quality since I started using it. Hi, Jake. How's it going? No worries, Potato. If you have any, more specific questions, feel free to ask. And if the link doesn't work in the chat to get to that PDF, you can just click through to my website, which is in my bio, and like my Etsy, my Drive-Thru RPG, Global Comics, all of that stuff is linked on the homepage. I'm in the process of updating my website at the moment, but the landing page with all those links is still there. I'm really looking forward to finishing overhauling it soon. It's going to look great when the new version is done. Really excited about that. Oh, why is it taking so long to load? That's not good. I might have to check in with my web guy. But also, you can just look up Brain Beast Studios on Etsy if my website is not working, which I will. Oh no, there it goes. It's just taking a really long time tonight for me, for some reason. But yeah, landing page is there with links to all of my things in all of the places. Hell yeah, I mean, a creative outlet is really important, especially when you've got a lot of time to kill. No worries, I'll see you next time. Good luck with your coding project. Hi, Velvet Kisses. How's it going? Hi, Radco Edits. What kind of comics do you want to make, Potato? Well, what sort of genres of story do you like to consume? I don't know how to pronounce that one, but welcome to the stream. All right. Another sound effect. I mean, I write a bit of everything because I like a lot of different stuff and I get ideas for random stuff. I really like fantasy, so I do have quite a few fantasy stories in the works. But I love sci-fi and I really like horror. So I kind of work across all three of those the most. All right. Sound effect. Love a good splutch. Yeah, I'm a big fan of fantasy. This story that I'm writing right now, the world that this one is set in, is a science fantasy world. So it's a bit of sci-fi and a bit of like D&D-esque fantasy. Hi T, how's it going? There's magic, there's critters, there's also some really high-tech science. Hi two-time number 2 fan. Hi Chris. What are your favorite fantasy IPs? Potato? Hi, Ellen. All right. That's page 5 done. Well, do you want some recommendations? Because I could definitely give you some recommendations. Well, I highly recommend in general consuming a lot of what you want to write, because it'll help you get an understanding for structure and pacing, tropes, and just sort of things that are often done in those sorts of stories. Because as I tell people, it's kind of like learning to draw as well. Is like, it's great and fine, and it often good, like preferred, to break the rules. But to break the rules successfully, you need to understand the rules. You know what I mean? Because the rules aren't, you can only ever do it this way. But the rules for writing are much the same as drawing, is that if you know how this works, it'll pretty much always work. And then you can get messy with it and mess around and bend rules and break rules, because you understand how the structural things that allow you to break those rules actually work. So it's really important to understand those fundamentals before you try to break rules. So don't worry about whether or not what's come before you is going to influence you, because you can't help but be influenced by the things you see in the world around you. But if you have the chance to read all of that stuff and absorb all of that, you'll have a really well-rounded and deep understanding of the kind of worlds, that the kind of sandbox that you're planning to play in. Hi Kawaii-chan. I missed a couple names there, but hi everyone. Welcome, welcome. No worries, Potato. I am here Tuesday through Friday at 9 o'clock until about 10:30. But yeah, if you drop a follow, you'll get a notification when I go live and when I've got live events going and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, let me know how you go. I'd love to hear how your writing journey goes. All right. Hi, Caleb Jason 0505. How's it going? Hi, Luminous. How's it going? Hi, Pixie. I missed whoever's name that was, but howdy, welcome to the live. We're writing comics, so if you have any questions about writing comics, or you want to tell me about your favorite comic book writer, your favorite story and why you like the writing, you know, anything to do with writing comics, just drop something in the chat and let's chat. Hi, how's it going? Who's your favorite comic book writer, Luminous? Hi, Artillery. In the background. Figure of Florian being seen emerging from the tree line. There we go. That's an important detail for later. I think I can turn the heater off for now. So what did everyone get for New Comic Book Day today, hey? Did you visit your local comic shop? Hi, Kelly. How's it going? Hi, Ticklebutt94. Yeah, nice. Which Alan Moore story is your favorite? Ah, see, I haven't actually read the Watchmen comic yet. It's on my to-read list, but it's always just been a bit out of my price range. I have missed out so many times in this last year. I've been trying to get it to add to my collection. Because obviously I'm trying to read a lot of the classics as a writer to understand why people like them and all that sort of stuff. But it's always been just outside my budget. I've missed out by this much on some like $10 and $15 copies on Marketplace and just messaged just minutes too late to grab it. But, you know, for 40 bucks and up, I can't really justify it most of the time. But I'm hoping to pick it up next time I'm in Melbourne. Gonna stop by my favorite comic shop and hopefully pick up a copy down there. But I do have V for Vendetta sitting behind me. I finally got to read that recently after wanting to read it for a really long time. I managed to get that for free on Marketplace, which I couldn't believe. Hi, KC the Accumulator. Hi, Lachlan. How's it going, Casey? Hope you're good. Hey, no worries. Thanks for asking it. It was a good question. I'm really enjoying doing those little Monday topic of the week sort of posts. I'm going to record a bunch more of them so I can have them ready to go for future Mondays. And I really enjoy answering the questions that pop up. So this week's topic was drawing and illustration. So if any of you have questions about drawing and illustration that you want me to make a video response to, scroll back a few videos, find my Ask Me Anything video for this week, and drop your comments in there and I'll give them an answer. Right now we're writing the next comic about my character Snuffles the Indomitable. This is a story set before he was Snuffles the Indomitable, when he wasn't even quite Snuffles yet. So it's before he was transformed and before he even lived with the wizard. Yeah, for sure. Did you pick anything up for New Comic Book Day this week? Or it might only just be... I'm guessing you're in the States, so it might only just be New Comic Book Day in the morning for you now. Oh, hell yeah, nice. Yeah, I used to be in Brisbane, actually, before we moved down to Victoria. Haven't been to the Gold Coast in years. So what would your local comic book shop be then? I'm not too familiar with what's down on the Gold Coast, stores-wise. Ah, damn, yes. Yeah, same here, honestly. We've got well, we kind of have a local store, but they don't have a physical space anymore. They're online only. But they do local delivery cheap, which is great. But as far as like being able to go and just... Yeah, yep. Yeah, usually, same for me. I go to All Star Comics in Melbourne most of the time. Anytime I'm in Melbourne, I try to make time to pop into All Star. Even when I was in Brisbane, anytime I went to Melbourne, I went to All Star. The last few years I was in Brisbane, I went to All Star Comics more than I went to any Brisbane store. Yes, I know Daily Planet. They used to be in the CBD. They moved from Southport to the CBD. Sadly, they closed up in the early 2010s when the owner passed. That one was my favorite store in Brisbane. That's how I met one of my good friends, actually. They were working there when I first moved to Brisbane. And I got to chatting to them really often, and then eventually we became good friends. I missed whose name that was, but hey, welcome to the chat. Yeah. Daily Planet used to be on Elizabeth Street in the city. I think they closed up in 11 or 12. Somewhere around then. Hi, Juno. How's it going? Oh, yeah. Nice. Yes. There is a store. You'd know now then. You know where St. Kilda becomes... I don't think it's Paran. There's another suburb sort of in between St. Kilda and Paran. I can't remember the name right now. But where the like St. Kilda Town Hall is, you walk up that street to... No, not Balaclava. You walk up the street from like Town Hall to the movie theater. The like famous old movie theater just there in St. Kilda. And that intersection, you with the theater on your right, yeah, the Astor, yeah, with the Astor on your right, as you walk up the hill, you're standing at the intersection. Astor's right next to you. You turn left, and you go down that direction, and there's a whole bunch of Windsor. I think that's the one. Yeah. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of restaurants and all that sort of stuff down that way. There's a store that used to be right in the Melbourne CBD that's now just there as you go into Windsor, called Comics R Us. Chapel Street, that's the one. Yep. Yeah, so just on Chapel Street. I've only been down there once when I was looking for apartments before we moved out here. But I've been trying to get there. Yeah, so yeah, Comics R Us are on Chapel Street now. But yeah, All Star is my favorite store of all time. I always make time to go to All Star when I'm in Melbourne. But I do want to get out to Comics R Us because they weren't open the one day that I was there, unfortunately. So I missed out. I want to go check out Comics R Us, and I want to check out Critical Hit. Hey, thanks for the rose. Appreciate it. No worries. Keep an eye out. I've been a bit busy doing a business course, so I haven't had time to make as many comic book recommendation videos as is supposed to be my main content. So I've been doing a few more of those question and answer videos the last couple of weeks. But tomorrow and next week, I'm going to be recording a bunch of them because I got a bunch of new books sent to me by Comics.one. And I've got a bunch of new books on the shelf behind me that I just picked up through very, very sheer luck that a friend let me come and raid a long box that an old housemate had left behind. So I got a bunch of books to talk about. So I'm really looking forward to covering those in the next couple of weeks. So those videos will start dropping real soon. So, yeah, I got very lucky. I got one called... What is it that bothers you, Doctor Strange, or something like that? Really old, really cool Stephen Strange book, and a bunch of other rad stuff. So keep an eye out for those videos coming soon. I feel like I meant to follow you back already, but I don't know if I did because good old ADHD. So I'll check that after stream, and I'll give you a follow because I want to see what the books you're going to be talking about are too. Also, for anyone in the chat that doesn't know about it, it's currently on hiatus for new recording, but now that I have the time in the next 2 weeks, I will be editing my backlog of episodes. I have a podcast called No Capes, where I sit down with fellow comic book creators, and it's basically a book club with other comic book creators about books that we love and why we love it, and we just gush over these books for like an hour and a half. Some notable guests for the new season include... Heather Antos, Josh Rubin from Game Changer, David Dissanayaka from Vault Comics, and a bunch of other really rad people who I can't remember all the names right now because it's late and I got ADHD. But those episodes are coming soon, and I'm really excited about them. Hi, I am Tyler Durden. Hi, Get Back in Your Box 2.0. I'm not even sure how that one's supposed to be verbalized, but howdy, welcome to the chat. Thanks for all the likes, everyone. I appreciate it. I'm going to finish up the next panel, and then we might call it on the writing part here, and color the sketch card that I've got to do here to wind down. Hang on. Hi, dressed to impress nerd. Yep, okay, cool. Yeah, I know what's going on here now. Hi, Maxim Cappies. Hi, Hamid John 5600. Hi, Elise. How's it going? Alright, so let's fire up the table cam. And the light. And we'll start working on that sketch card now. To wind down with. There we go. All right. So we're going to finish off this sketch card rather than starting a new one tonight. And then tomorrow night, we'll warm up with a sketch card before we get into my digital projects. Although, come to think of it, I might almost be finished my current urgent digital projects. So we might be able to move on to my, physical commissions that I've got to work on. Yes, good, okay. Hi, Jack Rinaldi. Hi, Elizabeth. Gonna throw a few patches of gnarly green in here. Let's pick a nice pale flesh. That one might even be too bold. Hi, Anthony. That's too strong. Alright, raw silk it is then. And then we'll put the grey over it. I don't want it to be a strictly green zombie, but I do want some gross patches. give this a blue-grey tint to make it look nasty. Actually, yeah, no, we'll put that there. I will use that one. Alright, we'll let that settle a little bit. I might touch up with some highlights with a paint pen, because it turned out a little darker than I was going for. Let's see if I got a lighter one. That's still a bit dark. What about this? That's the same color. That one is dead. Hi, Primflora. Let's try this one. Yeah, that'll do. Hi, yes I am. I sure am. You've caught me during one of my... Well, you've caught me at the end of my writing live during the warm down drawing session. Yes, I am. I write and draw comics. I just finished up working on a couple of pages of script for one of my new comics. And then I'm just finishing up this sketch card that I started on Friday during one of my lives. I got the line art done, but I didn't get time to color it on Friday, so we're just finishing that off now. Oh, independent. I am not known enough to work for any of the big publishers yet. But I am hoping to get my work published by some of the smaller publishers next year once I'm ready to pitch some stuff. I've got a couple of books I'm preparing some pitch work for at the moment to try to pitch to Mad Cave and Invader and a couple of other places like that. Yeah, I get you. They're just two sides of the same coin, really. I use a lot of manga techniques in some of my comic book pages, and vice versa. If you ever need any recommendations for resources or anything like that, I post lots of videos about resources and about comic books that I love and that sort of stuff. So feel free to just ask questions. I literally actually just put out an Ask Me Anything on Monday. This week's topic is drawing and illustration. So if there's anything that you are looking to work on and want to ask questions about, feel free to go and drop some questions in the comments and I'll make a video to answer it for you. You can also, always ask here as well. But if you want something that you can refer back to, go ahead and ask away in those comments and I'll be able to answer. And tomorrow night is the night that I just work on whatever project I've got going on at the moment. So feel free to drop in during that one. At this stage, I might still be working on a sticker design. I gotta check where I'm at with... Oh, hey! No worries, Talera, thank you. Yeah, I might be working on a couple of sticker designs tomorrow night still. I have to double check if I've finished all the ones that I need to finish for my current Kickstarter project. And if I have finished those, then I'll actually be working on some physical commissions that I've got to get onto for my Kickstarter backers. And I'm really excited to get to start on those. I do both. I do digital, that's what I'll be working on if I'm working on the stickers. But for my Kickstarter, I had a couple of high value tiers where people can get an original pencil commission done, and they get the actual physical commission, not a scan of it. They receive the original piece of artwork. Because I have 2 different drawing tablets that I use for digital. But at the moment, I'm trying to get back to my roots from when I was coming up and do more traditional practice again. Because whenever I do stop and put more time and energy into practicing my traditional stuff, which is less forgiving, and it forces me to be more deliberate and precise in the decisions that I make when I'm drawing, that means that my digital work gets faster and better. Like last night we were doing some studies. This is an old one. This is a really old one. This is from 2018. But last Tuesday night we were doing some capybara drawing studies and armadillo. But last night we were doing some pug drawing studies. Because I'm drawing a pug man and normal pug characters for my comic book. So I'm doing traditional drawing studies to help me really push those shapes and, folds and details into my brain so that when I'm drawing them digitally, I can make the same kinds of decisions I would make on paper. Well, I was doing my art. Like, art is always... I've been doing art since I was 12. So, what that is like... 26 years. I've been drawing for 26 years. Never stopped. And I do it... It's less that it's a hobby and more that I've been doing it part-time because I still need to pay the bills. But right now, I'm actually about to go full-time in my studio for the first time as part of a small business startup program. So I will actually be working on my comics, my art prints, commercial art stuff, merch designs. I'm hoping to start working with some local coffee companies, doing some branding for them and stuff like that for the next year. And then we'll see how that goes after that. But the idea is going to be to use that time to lay the groundwork for all of my major comics projects and TTRPG projects and stuff, so that I can keep developing them if I do eventually have to go back to working part-time. I'll have done a lot of the hard, heavy lifting to make it easier to get that stuff produced and out into the world in a timely manner. My best advice is don't pressure yourself to draw every day, because honestly, especially if you're like me and you're neurodivergent and you've got other issues going on, sometimes that is unreasonable. Like people say it's not unreasonable to get 10 minutes to draw every day and take that time, but that doesn't account for chaotic life stuff happening. It It doesn't account for chronic fatigue. It doesn't account for executive dysfunction, any of that kind of stuff. But on the days where you have the energy and have access to your drawing tablet or have access to your sketchbook, this is one of the reasons that doing both digital and physical is really good, is that I don't know what kind of setup you've got, but if you have a plug-in setup like my big drawing tablet that I've got down here, which is one that has to be hooked up to the PC, it's not always going to be feasible to have time to sit down, fire up your PC, open up Clip Studio, and then sit down and draw for 10 minutes, you know? Sometimes just getting that stuff set up is going to take up the time that you have for drawing. If you have a portable setup time, that's a bit different. You can grab that, sit down, bash a doodle out, and move on with your day. But I find that at least having a little sketchbook around like the one that I was just showing you before, and a pencil, always with the sketchbook, means that if you do have just 10 minutes that you can sit down and do a little drawing study, that will help you feel good and help you keep feeling motivated to have more time. And if you're trying to work on a bigger project and you're finding it frustrating not getting time to sit down and work on it, same thing. If you can just find 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there to just quickly chip away at it for a little bit, it might take longer than you really want it to, but at least you'll get it done, you know? At least it's getting done. It can be really hard to make time for art. And I say that as a professional artist. I'm nowhere near as fast as I want to be because I've had a lot of chaos in my life that makes it hard to find a lot of time to sit down and work, which is why I try to make sure when I can have been able to afford to have both a desktop digital setup and a portable drawing tablet. Because sometimes the only time I'm going to get to work on a project is 10 minutes in bed before I go to sleep. But boy, do I make that 10 minutes count, you know? So I'm not sure what kind of setup you've got, but if you don't have a lot of time to work on big projects, just keep your drawing practice going by doing little 10-minute drawing studies here and there. That will go a long way towards helping you figure it out and get stuff done. Because you might not be finishing, you know, posters and prints and comics and stuff like that. I mean, I don't really need an art assistant for my work, but if you want to join the community, you know, I have a Discord community for my studio where people that like my work and like my streams and stuff can hang out and chat and share art with each other. You know, I do Tuesday night, the drawing studies that I just showed you. I have it set up so that people can join the Discord and draw along with me on a Tuesday night, you know, do the same studies that I'm doing, use the same reference pictures that I'm using, and then share them in the Discord when they're done. So if you want a link for that, just let me know, and I can drop it in the chat. What color is this going to be? Let's go with a bright blue. If anyone's put anything in the chat just while I'm working on this part with the text, I will check that in a second. I'm just gonna finish off this bit with the text before I look up again. There we go. Thanks, Prim. I've got the support of a good business mentor and the funding support of a really great program behind me, so that's going to help a lot. It's going to be really great. No worries. I'll keep an eye out. You know, I'm always working on new projects and always looking to collaborate with new people on new comics and, you know, all kinds of stuff. I've got my next few projects booked up with which collaborators I'm working on and stuff because I wrote them with those people in mind. But I have a bunch of other things in the pipeline after that. Well, let's just go with walnut for this background part. Hi, hello, monkey. How's it going? No worries, Luminous. Thanks. I will have a look after stream. Alrighty. I'll just take a... Wait, no, I want to add a little bit more shade to the fleshy parts, that's right. All right. Take a couple of pictures. Before, oh wait, no, I forgot the final touch. Uh, yeah, I've been doing these sketch cards for a few weeks now. It's really fun. I was trying to think of something I could do to make, you know, the TikTok lives that I do a little more interactive than my Twitch streams are. And I thought, you know, doing these sketch cards and letting people help choose the characters that I draw would be a fun way to incorporate that. And I've been really enjoying it. And, you know, it also means that I have a little something extra to include at my stall at conventions now, you know? I don't just have my stickers and my prints and my finished comics and stuff. I also have original pieces of artwork, which is pretty cool. All right, there we go. Now I can take the picture. All right, and that's me for tonight, TikTok. I am going to sign off for TikTok for tonight until tomorrow night. And tomorrow night, we're going to be choosing a new character to draw. So if you would like me to draw a character that you like, make sure you go into the video I posted. It's about 5 videos back, where you can see me showing all the different ones of these we've done on stream. And put, if you've got the option to post photos, post a photo of what character you want me to draw. If you can't do that yet, then just put the name of the character in the comments of that video, and I will pick 2 characters from that list of comments at the start of the stream tomorrow, and that's the poll that we'll do for the night. And that's going to be the warm-up before I move on to my other projects. And then on Friday, we'll go back to that and choose some more for the Friday night sketch card party. So for now, I'll say goodnight, and I will see you all tomorrow night, same time, 9 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. And thanks for hanging out. See you next time. All right, and Twitch, we're going to go for a raid. So let's have a look and see who's online and go raiding. All right, I'm posting the message in the chat now. Copy and paste that, and let's go raiding.
Who is quite bold, or at least presents to be quite bold, it would be